All right, look, I'm gonna get straight to the point, right? So, for whatever reason, whenever I tell someone, hey, you're probably gonna want to give up your meat and your dairy, or at least make your diet like 85, 95% plants. If you're gonna continue to eat meat and dairy, for whatever reason, man, like they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm crazy, right? And then they ask me, well, hey, well, wait a minute. Well, what do you do? I say, well, hey, I'm vegan. And they're like, whoa, like, well, what do you eat? Like, how do you get protein? That's like always the first question they ask, right? How do you get protein? Do you go out to eat? Like, what do you do, right? And I'm like, yeah, I go out to eat, and yeah, I get protein the same way that you do, right? Because all of that stuff comes from plants, right? I just eat stuff that comes from the earth, right? And then they're like, man, look, I can't do that. Like, you only live once, right? So I got to enjoy life. And I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right, right? You do only live once, okay? But then I'm thinking like, yo, ask yourself the question, like, you do only live once, but how do you want to live, right? So do you want to live like in pain your whole life? Do you want to live your whole life on medication? Do you want to live your whole life in and out of the operating room because you're getting surgeries, right? Do you want to live your life, without the use of your legs or your eyesight or different things like that? These are all things that happen and result from, the choices that you make, right? So do you want to live your life and say, hey, I never got to see my grandkids get married, or I never met my great grandkids? Do you want to live your life where you can't even play with your kids and your grandkids and stuff like that, right? So those are questions that I feel like you might want to ask, when you're thinking about, hey, I only live once, right? But then it kind of goes like a step further, right? So then, we're thinking about like, hey, you're looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm saying, yo, you need to give these things up, because it's better for you. So then you act like the choices that you're making are literally not killing you, right? So if you think about it, right? On planet Earth, right? As far as we know, this is the only place that got humans. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but as far as we know, this is the only place that got humans, right? So on planet Earth, the number one killer for humans is heart disease. Okay? These are facts. So if you live on planet Earth and you happen to be a human, the things that kill us the most are heart disease, or is heart disease, right? So why would you continue to contribute to things that is the number one killer of all humans, right? So then we go a step further. We're like wondering like, yo, what the heck causes heart disease, right? So let's go down the list, right? What are some of the things that could possibly cause heart disease, right? One of those things is a diet that is full of saturated fat and cholesterol, right? So where the heck do we get those types of things from? Well, you named it, meat and dairy. All right. So meat and dairy is some of the best sources of high cholesterol and high saturated fat in your foods, right? So what is another thing that could potentially cause heart disease, right? Well, I don't know, diabetes, right? Well, if you have too much blood glucose or too much glucose in your bloodstream, over time, this can damage your blood vessels. And now we're having a problem with circulating blood and sending blood back to the heart. Bam, now we're having heart attack, heart disease, and problems again, right? Well, what else? What else could possibly be a problem or something that could possibly cause heart disease? Well, I don't know. What about obesity, right? So now we have a situation to where we're carrying too much weight, right? So genetically, we're already made to carry only kind of like a range of how heavy we're supposed to be, right? So once we get into a situation where we're obese, well, now our body's like, yo, I got to work overdrive. So you have trouble doing simple things like getting out of a chair, walking to the mailbox, walking your dog, going up the stairs, because now your heart has to work overdrive to pump blood throughout this body that's too large. Over time, you wear your heart out, bam, heart attack, heart disease, now we have an issue. I wonder what else could possibly cause heart disease? I don't know, high blood pressure? Well, now we have a situation to where there's a restriction to blood flow, and now we can't circulate blood the way we want to. There's a problem with getting blood back to the heart. Bam, now we got heart attack, heart disease, another issue. Now, what are all of these? Oh, I forgot one. What is another reason why we might have heart disease, right? I don't know. What's that word? Sedentary lifestyle? That basically means that every day. I go to work, I go home to the couch, I go to sleep. Then I do it again. I go to work, I go home to the couch, and then I go to sleep, right? We do these things over and over and over and over again, right? So all of these things they have something in common, right? So all of these things are things that are under your control. And that's the thing that's so peculiar to me, right? The evidence and the information is there, right? We know for a fact that heart disease is the #1 killer of all humans on planet Earth. And then we know all the things that contribute to heart disease, yet we do it anyway. And what is the reason always? Well, you only live once. Ooh, this tastes good, right? That's not a good enough reason to continue to destroy your own existence. I don't understand that, right? So all of these things are preventable, and that is the biggest problem with this whole scenario, right? If you knew for a fact that if you stepped in front of an 18-wheeler that's going 100 miles an hour, that you would be smashed to bits immediately, what would you do? Probably not step in front of that 18-wheeler. But for some reason, when it comes to food choices and when it comes to lifestyle choices, people say, who cares? Who cares? Because what they think about is they say, well, this death isn't instant, right? No, it's not instantaneous, right? But it may be one day, because all death is instant, right? If you think about it, okay? So why would you continue to practice the same behaviors that you know are actually contributing to your own death, your own demise? That makes no sense. Now, before I go and people start saying, well, hey, wait a minute, some people are born with certain things. Yes. There are cases where people have genetic defects with their heart and their blood vessels and the circulation, genetically predisposed maybe to have different cholesterol levels and blood pressure. Yes, those situations do exist. That's not what we're talking about. Okay, we're talking about on average, we're talking about 9 times out of 10, we're talking about the vast majority of people who pass away and die of things like heart attack and heart disease and high cholesterol and all these different things is because they simply chose to continue to contribute to their own demise by ignoring the information that has been well documented, and all the information that you can actually find just by typing in a few words on a search. So, that rant, I don't know. I was driving and I had these thoughts in my mind and I had to put them out there. Rant over.